Welcome back to the Spartan Sports Podcast. We were on hiatus for like 2 weeks, so that was quite interesting. But today I am joined by Carter Fry and Darren Baydoun. I am your host, as always, Thomas Chavez, and it is Thursday again, guys. Game 4 was last night. Heartbreaker for Phoenix Suns fans everywhere. Chris Paul tripped. And Giannis had an unbelievable block. That's all I have to say about the game.
Yeah, that Giannis block, definitely not the most clutch block in finals history or anything, but in terms of how difficult the way he went from guarding Devin Booker on the lob to turning around, taking 2 steps, and still matching Ayton, like he followed the lob from start to finish and still blocked it. That was just one hell of a play and one very difficult one at that.
He might be the guy in the league that could do that. Realistically do
like
that.
Like him and AD, maybe LeBron.
Maybe AD. Okay, maybe AD. Yeah, maybe.
Like
AD.
Those are the only guys that come to mind.
But even AD isn't as long as he is. Like that's the thing. Like he's even longer. He's even longer than.
He's got to be long and quick.
And take such long strides like he does too. But yeah, I mean, if this was Game 7, that would definitely rival the.
Oh, that would be. Oh yeah, that'd be up.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But it was just Game 4, and gosh,
well,
my boy.
If they end up winning the series, though, that's going to be looked at being like the potential catalyst for that. That's going to be the game. That'll be like they'll say we could be looking at that as being the play that changed the series, or like that shifted the series in Milwaukee's favor or something like that.
Yeah, that entire comeback just for most of the game, Phoenix looked like they were in control. Even though the Bucks had come back and tied it up at halftime, Phoenix still looked like they were comfortable and ready to take the win in Game 4, and then just collapsed at the end. Booker getting that 5th foul definitely took their offense out of rhythm because he had to come out for a very long stretch.
He should have been. There were at least probably 4 different times where he should have fouled out of that game, to be quite honest.
Yeah, especially at the end.
Where he logged Holiday under the rim, and that should have been Amlin. It's like, how do you miss that? How do you not call that? There was multiple times where he just listen. I'm usually like, if I had to choose, I'm in favor of saying the refs let them play, but that would like at least the Holiday one, that was so egregious.
The Holiday one definitely, but yeah, just Chris Paul, my sweet boy Chris Paul. Oh God, that was a not great game from him. Big stinker with 5 turnovers.
15 turnovers over his last 3 games, which is his most in like 3 years.
It's okay. He's just got to collect himself. He'll be fine.
We have to remember, I mean, the guy is coming back from having COVID. Like he had COVID, like a week and a half ago, maybe, or something like that. Like it hasn't been that long. I mean, he played well in the games in Phoenix. Like he didn't play bad, but this is something where, and I mean, listening to, to the debates, to the talk show debates, sports talk today, it's like, you have to realize Chris Paul has never played this far into a postseason before. He's only been to the conference finals one other time, and that was with Houston, and he got hurt. He got hurt in Game 5 of that series, which ended up being the difference in the Rockets going home versus the Warriors. So, he's had to go through all this. He's coming off of getting, trying to get back from having COVID. His body has never been. It's not like, it's like even though LeBron's getting older, like his body, he's been to the finals so many times. It's like his body's been conditioned for it. Chris Paul isn't. He isn't. Even though he puts a lot of effort into his training, it's like he isn't. It's just, this is something where it's like, this is uncharted territory for him. And so, you're maybe seeing like him, run out of gas possibly. I mean, it's fair to say, I mean, the guy's 36 years old, and and then for the last 2 games, he's been hounded by a guy who a lot of players in the league consider to be one of the best defenders in the league in Jrue Holiday. And Jrue Holiday's bigger than him. He's younger than him. And, he's got more energy to burn presumably, at least right now. So, it's just something where I don't expect, like, I expect Chris he has too much. This is too big of a this is obviously, this could be his only shot. So I don't think he's going to play like this in a game 5 or a game 6. But I mean, this is the Bucks. The Bucks have a real opportunity now because, Phoenix, they're missing, without Dario Saric, they don't really have a backup big to go to for DeAndre Ayton. So they're going to have to play him a ton. And, if Devin Booker isn't able to have another performance like this, or Chris Paul isn't able to get back to the plane he was earlier in the playoffs, I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks really, this could quickly turn into their series to lose, to be quite honest.
Yeah, things definitely flipped for both teams when they went over to Milwaukee, because the whole narrative the first 2 games was Phoenix is playing so well as a team. Milwaukee, they're only getting good performances from one guy, and the rest of the team is just playing terrible. And now it's like, well, games in Milwaukee, Milwaukee's playing really good as a team. Phoenix, Devin Booker has that stinker in game 3. Jay Crowder went crazy in game 3 in the third quarter, but, just the team offense has not been the same as it was back at home. So just the whole narrative kind of just flipped on its head when the series went over to Milwaukee. And so it'll be interesting to see if the Suns can rebound in game 5. The one thing they do have going for them is the Bucks still do have to win one on the road. So they do have the home field advantage. So, game 5, if they don't win game 5, Bucks in 6. If they win game 5, Suns in 7.
No, I would probably agree with that, because I don't think, even if Phoenix wins game 5, I don't think Milwaukee's going to lose game 6.
I don't either. Milwaukee's winning game 6.
Yeah, I think at this point this is going to 7 games. But the other one big thing is that Chris Middleton has to show up like that again, or he at least has to. Okay, maybe not. Maybe he doesn't have to score 40 in game 5, but he has to be. He's got to bring that same kind of. And he's got to bring that same kind of effort on the road as compared to home. Because, he was Giannis had a great game too. He had the big block. I mean, Middleton dropped 40 last night. That's him showing there's a reason why this guy's been a multi-time All-Star, because he can be that good. Not all the time, but for certain games, he can be that good. And, if Giannis is able to have, because Giannis is going to get his. He's gonna get the Suns don't have a way of stopping him, but he needs one of either Holiday or Middleton to show up offensively. Holiday shot terribly last night, but he did have the aforementioned defense on Chris Paul, which obviously helped the Bucks a lot. So as long as he does that, but Middleton has to be that guy. He's got to be that second. He's got to be that second option that can consistently beat his man. That can make those shots and, not have to put every single thing on Giannis every time down the floor. Because Giannis will get his, but, listen, he scored 40 in game 2 in Phoenix and they still lost. Granted. So it's not a guarantee that even if Giannis is going to give you a 40-point game, the Bucks are going to be the team that wins. So they need they need him to show up. If they're going to win game 5, they need Chris Middleton to they need him. This is the proving point. This is everyone's saying Chris Middleton, he's not an all-star. He's not a second guy. It's this is your time. This is his time. He had a great game last night. If he can do that same thing in game 5, if they can go up 3-2, then he is going to, then you're not going to be able to say that about him. Because you know what? Because then he did win a championship as the second best player on a championship team. So, this is for him. This is talking about, for Giannis proving he can win a championship. This is for guys like Milton and Holly to show we can be these guys. We're being here.
And like Thomas said, they're playing a lot more like a team, now that they were in Milwaukee. We'll see how it, goes when they go back to Phoenix. But I think they learned some stuff. Budenholzer started playing Giannis at the 5 more, which I think was huge. But yeah, they are playing so much more like a team. And we see that how Middleton can go out and have 40, but Giannis also dropping 26. He can have, a great game of his own. I think 15 boards, 8 assists. So both of them can make a huge impact. And then you have, your role guys like Jrue Holiday making a huge impact on the defensive end, Pat Connaughton, knocking down threes, also, a good 3-and-D guy for them. Brook Lopez contributing. So, they really seem like they can get the whole team involved. And that's something the Suns really showed in the first 2 games, but have struggled with. So when they go back to Phoenix, we'll see if the, roles reverse or if the Bucks can really keep a hold on this series. Because if they keep playing like a team, I think that's really the key to who's going to win this series. If, who can get the most people involved while also, dominating from a scoring angle like Middleton did last night.
To channel my inner Magic Johnson, the team that wins the series is the team that scores the most points.
I don't know if it gets more magic than that.
Just say so. Like I remember watching that first take thing. He I don't like, again, like you can't deny how great he was, but dear God, he does say so, like everything he says. It's just like it's so obvious. It's like, dude, I mean, we know. Like, yeah, it's like there's so many. It's like, yeah, I know that, but it's like, come on, man. Just as an aside.
Yeah, such a strange guy. But yeah, speaking of Middleton, he was. Last night he was the guy they went to for the clutch shots. He got those last 2 buckets that set the Bucks in solid form to put the game away. And just if he can keep playing like that, the Suns are going to have a real problem, because I think they can do enough to contain Giannis from just beating them single-handedly. But if he has a reliable second option on these games, they're going to have a lot of trouble going up against them. So my now completely unbiased here. I've been rooting for the Suns all postseason, all since January, if we're going to be honest. If the Suns can win tomorrow, they're probably going to win in 7. If they not tomorrow, Saturday. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got them in 7. If they lose, Bucks in 6. So we'll see how that turns out.
No, I'd agree. I can agree completely. I mean, obviously, it's obvious to say that for anyone who knows how an NBA playoff series goes. Obviously, it's obvious to say that Game 5 is usually the most important game if it's tied 2-2. But no, I mean I think Phoenix needs to look at this as basically their do and die moment. Because the way Milwaukee played at home the last 2 games, they can't just go into Game 6 thinking that it's like they need to treat Game 5 like it's their Game 7. They need to, because I really don't think Game 6. If it goes to Game 6 with Milwaukee up 3-2, I'm taking Milwaukee. I'll take them. I'm taking them to close it out, because they're at home for a franchise that, and granted, Phoenix hasn't won an NBA title. Milwaukee has at least one NBA title, but they haven't been there since the 70s, since Kareem. So, and Kareem and Oscar Robinson were both in the building last night, which which definitely, was a nice moment for them. But, this is an opportunity to bring a franchise that hasn't won a championship in what is now approaching around 50, almost 60 years possibly for that stretch, 50 years at least. But
it was 50 years ago, I think.
50, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, 71. Right. Okay. Not the best at math. Sorry. But this, yeah, because that's going to be, with Pack fans like it was, looking on the broadcast like last night, like Mike Breen talked about at one point how the entire arena was shaking. It's like when you're in an atmosphere like that, it's so hard. Like you are so juiced, you are so jacked up from that and everything like that. It's almost like you just feel like it's impossible to lose. And Phoenix, they have their own great, they've got their own fans, their own great fan base that can make Phoenix, that makes Phoenix a tough place to play in. But they have to treat Game 5 like Game 7, because I don't think if the Bucks win on Saturday, series is over. In my opinion, like Chris Paul, with whatever you're dealing with, you need to summon it up, man. This is probably the last great opportunity you'll ever have at winning a championship, because going forward, Lakers are going to be back healthy, Clippers are going to be back healthy. You have the Jazz. You'll have, you're going to have a loaded conference. It's like you're probably, not that you won't be a good team, but you're probably never going to get here. If you had to bet money on it, he probably won't ever get here again. This is your opportunity. This is the one thing that's missing from your resume. So I understand he's 36. I understand he's never played this far into a postseason, and he's probably hurting from COVID still. But man, if there was ever a time just to suck it up for one last stretch, it's got to be now. You got to be Chris Paul.
Yeah, I don't think no, my bad for cutting you off, but I was just going to say Chris Paul, I don't think he's getting back to the finals as a first or second option after this year. I could see him piggybacking on a LeBron team and, getting to the finals that way. But as a first or second option, I think this is his last chance at winning a championship. So
that's a great one. Yeah. And you can say that about you can even say that about the Bucks, because I don't think anyone believes that Brooklyn was fully healthy. Milwaukee probably wouldn't beat them. But for either team, that's what makes this such an intriguing. That's what makes this, excuse me. That's what makes this such an intriguing thing to watch, because for either team, now granted, Giannis he's still in his mid-20s, so it's conceivable that he could get back to the finals again if they lost. So it's not out of question. He's young enough to where they can do that.
I think Giannis will be back to the finals.
Yeah, eventually.
I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, probably eventually. He's that kind of player to do that. But no, that's what makes it so intriguing, because with the way that these playoffs turned out, it's the seas parted for both of these teams. All the matchups ended up going their way perfectly in terms of who they faced, who got injured, everything like that. Neither one of them are probably going to have an opportunity like that ever again. So it's like for both of them, who's going to be the most desperate? Because you have to know it's good, because you're never going to have an opportunity like this again, where it was so perfect for both of these teams to make a run like this. So that to me, it's Game 5. I'm expecting just an all-out. I'm basically expecting all-out war in Phoenix. I'm everyone's gonna probably be bringing their stuff. So I think it's gonna be a great game. And for Phoenix, again, Chris Paul, if you got anything in you left, you gotta just give it, man. Just suck it up, because like Thomas said, as the guy, this is probably your last. This is probably going to be your best shot.
Yeah. This has been a really great finals, I will say. Probably the best one we've had since 2016, when the Cavs played the Warriors with the 3-1 comeback. Just obviously Game 3, not so much, but every game has been relatively close. Game 4 was just amazing. It was wire to wire, just on the edge of your seat the entire time. So no matter who wins, even though I am pulling for Chris Paul and the Suns, it's going to be a great series. And you can't complain whoever wins, really. Both of these teams have earned it this year. Both of these teams, haven't been there in forever. And both of these teams have had such hardships as franchises that, it's time for one of them to win. And so now both of them have a chance. So like Darren said, Game 5 is going to be very pivotal. And whoever can throw the last punch is probably going to be able to pull it out.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely cool with either of them winning. Like you said, both of them definitely deserve it. Giannis or Chris Paul and Devin Booker, I think they all deserve a title at some point in their career. So I do want Chris Paul to get one in before the end of his career, because I think Giannis will have many more opportunities to do so. But if the Bucks win, Giannis and Chris Middleton get a ring, I'm cool with that.
So that's NBA Finals news. We do have more basketball this summer, though. Team USA has been doing their exhibition games before the Olympics, and not so great. So far, they're 1-2, right? They've only played 3 games, I assume. They lost to Nigeria and Australia. They were able to pull out a win against the 41-year-old Luis Scola and Argentina. USA is struggling.
He's playing his 5th Olympic. Think about that. His 5th Olympics. 5th.
Man's just
been around that long. 5th. That's ridiculous.
This guy loves basketball. That's all you can really say about him.
That's ridiculous.
Shout out. We stand Luis Scola on this podcast.
Weren't
He
they
looks
all
good, dude. Like the
talking
guy,
about-
like he's looking.
He looks
like,
better than ever,
He does.
honestly.
He looks better than he did when he was actually playing in the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, the haircut helps. The haircut helps.
But he's also ripped. Like you could,
Yeah, I know,
he's-
man.
like his muscle is defined. You look at pictures when he was in, I think an All-Star with the Rockets. He was kind of, like I don't know. He wasn't very visibly strong, but he looked.
Yeah, he just wasn't
now.
defined. Like
Right,
not
yeah.
out of shape, but just wasn't defined.
Not
Now
out of
he's
shape, right?
he
Now
just got
he's-
that, man. He's got that post 40, just I'm gonna just get jacked now look or something like
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. It's like,
Yeah. But the U.S. did win that game. So, good on them for that one. But, some embarrassing losses against Nigeria and Australia. Those are games you're expected to win. I do have my own thoughts on that, but I'd like to hear what you guys have to say first about the U.S. and their struggles so far.
Well, I think we have to clarify that with even though we assume that the U.S. we should be favored in basketball every year. There's when they have losses like that, like when you look at the team, it's like this is not the best team that we could have sent. That's one thing. If this was the best team, LeBron would be playing along with KD, along with Steph, along with Harden, along with Anthony Davis, along with all those guys. All right. And that would just be, there would be so much talent on that team that it would just be like, it doesn't matter even if they would practice. It would just be like, there would just be no chance because that talent is just too much. This isn't that. I mean, there's great players. Obviously, you have Kevin Durant, you have Damian Lillard, you have great players on this team. But when a lot of these guys are especially like a lot of these guys are just coming back from the NBA playoffs, and guys in terms of like guys like KD and and others. They're just coming back from the NBA playoffs. They haven't had a lot of time to rest. The NBA season just in itself really has been over for that long. So these guys haven't had a ton of time to rest. They've only had like probably a few times to practice together to get to, to really practice together and everything like that versus these other teams who these guys have been playing together probably now for at least a couple of years. They know each other. They've played in other tournaments with each other. They've been like, and for them, like even though now we see these other teams, like we saw Nigeria, I believe, with Precious Achiuwa who made the block on Durant. We see these guys now where teams, these other countries now, who have guys who are in the NBA and come back. So the talent level has risen up in the international pool to where it's not just that America is just so far ahead in terms of talent. There's talent now all over the world. Especially like when you look at the NBA and look at some of the most talented players, you look at, the MVP this year, Nikola Jokic, now you look at Doncic, you look at Kristaps, there's a lot of guys talented. Get Joel Embiid, there's a lot of some of the best players in the NBA. They're not Americans, or at least they're not from, but not born in America or, whatever. But so it's all of that. And it's the fact that for, in the Olympics, for everyone else that isn't on the American team, this is the pinnacle. Like, this is the pinnacle. This is what they dream about, especially if they're not in the NBA. The guys who are in the NBA, they're not getting paid to play in the Olympics. This is all voluntary. And in the grand scheme of their legacies, no one is going to, in terms of ranking them as the best basketball players ever, no one's probably going to realistically put winning a gold medal over, say, winning a championship or multiple championships. I mean, Carmelo Anthony has 3 gold medals, but are we really going to rank him any higher than he is without having a championship on his resume? You know what? Just to use an example of that, it's great that he has 3 gold medals. It's a great accomplishment. But in terms of that, all those things go together, and it's just about like, it just turns, and it just, for them, it's just becomes like they have to play together, they have to get chemistry, and they have to want it. Like, you can't, like, they are not good enough just to assume they can blow by everybody. They've shown that exhibition losses. If they come in lackadaisical, unprepared, or just thinking they can get by people, they're going to get punched in the mouth. Because these are exhibition games. When the real Olympics start, all these other teams are going to probably bring that effort up to like 20. Because at the end, they know. And they know that whoever beats the U.S. in the actual Olympics, they are going to be celebrated for life, especially if they go on to win the gold medal because of that. Think about that. Think about how legendary those guys will be that they beat the U.S. in the Olympics and then won the gold medal because of that. That would be huge. So, for the US, it's just, they gotta get down. They gotta commit to playing. They have to play hard. You gotta commit to playing defense. You gotta commit to practice. You gotta commit to really want this. Like, do you want a gold medal? If so, then play just like you would want NBA championship. You gotta do the same things.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything Darren said, especially the chemistry and the fact that basketball is a world sport now. It's reaching every corner of the planet. We're seeing talent come out of, all these different countries, which is great to see. But I think when it comes down to it at the end of the day, the USA basketball roster is much more talented than any other roster that we're going to see. And, the first two games that we saw, I think there was a real learning curve, especially to the FIBA rules, because they're really letting them play. There's no BS flopping calls, leaning in, to threes when, the guy's not actually jumping into you, the Trae Young, Steph Curry kind of lean in, attempts to draw a foul. Yeah, exactly.
You're allowed to knock the ball off the rim, like on offensive rebound or something. Like, one of the multiple things. That's the thing. Also, yeah, I mean, you're right, Carter. That's one of the things. Is like you gotta be able to study, the rules. It's like, listen, because here's the thing: they can do that to you. As the U.S., you can do that to them. You can play. Hey, you can play hard on defense. You can play tough on defense like that. Because listen, if they're not gonna call it, then you can do those same things. Like use that to your advantage if you can.
Right. And through the first two games, I mean, the whole rim rebounding thing, they got it rebounded 78-59. I mean, it's very clear that they're not too familiar with that. And they allowed, 48. They allowed teams to shoot 48% from the field and 45.5% from 3-point range, which just goes to show they're not trying on defense at all.
Not yet.
So, yeah, they're not trying on defense. On offense, they're trying to get BS foul calls like they have been past couple seasons in the NBA, and it's not working. I mean, I saw a ton of clips of Dame Lillard just trying to go in and get a BS, foul call in the lane. Nope. Guys trying to get guys flying in the air, not getting it. So, maybe they have adjusted, with this latest win. Who did they beat again?
Argentina.
Of course, Luis Scola. And, yeah, so maybe they have adjusted now. And, they're finally getting the hang of these rules because they are a much more talented team and should be beating these guys by, probably double digits, or just at least keeping a healthy lead. So if they truly have adjusted to the, different game style, good for them. Let's hope they can, dominate this Olympics. But if, maybe they haven't figured it out yet, we could be in store for an upset, which, even though it sucks to see Team USA lose, it'd be pretty cool for basketball to see them go down.
I mean, it wouldn't even be the first time it happened in this century. Back in 2004, I believe it was Argentina that beat us and ended up winning the gold medal, and then we had the silver bronze. Yeah. Well, Manu was on that team. Prime
exactly.
Manu was on that team, so that was a big boon. And then that led to the Redeem team and everything, and that then you saw because then everybody joined, like LeBron, Kobe, D Wade, all these guys. That's the thing, is that's not this team though. They are the most talented team. They should be the most talented team, but they are not the most. They do not have the amount of talent to where they can afford to just take a night. They can just think that they'll get by. All right, because again, other teams, you have guys from their country that are in the NBA or that are playing professional, or they're just talented, or they have enough to where they're gonna, again, like I said, they're gonna bring it. They're gonna put their best. They're gonna bring everything they have. And if they don't take the lessons they should have learned from those first two losses, and then have that going forward, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be something. It could be a struggle. It really could.
Yeah. The one thing I look at is it really doesn't seem like this roster was constructed very well, in my opinion. Like, it basically just seems like they took the best players they could get to volunteer. And
definitely.
That's not really how you should be constructing your team. Like, the only guy on this roster that's really going to be, making the hardworking plays and just do all the dirty work while everyone else scores is Draymond Green. Everyone else is going to try and just get a bucket the entire time. When you have all these ISO scores on the team at the same time, like there's not a whole lot of creativity or passing.
And it sucks that your only true big guy, Bam Adebayo, isn't doing anything. He should be helping Draymond with that dirty work stuff. But when you watch him off the ball, he just kind of stands around, doesn't go for rebounds, doesn't try. It's embarrassing to watch.
Bam has been missing in action since the Milwaukee series.
Not to mention he's as a traditional center. He's not like, we're not talking about a guy like a 7-foot guy who's just, not Bam. We've seen the NBA. When he's on, he's a great defensive player. Like there's no, I'm not trying to say Bam can't play defense or anything, but I mean, there is a difference between having even a guy like Bam and having a legit 7-foot guy, like say like an Anthony Davis or something like that is going to be like, like if you get anywhere near the rim, like he's going to be there. Like that's like, not that Bam can certainly affect things on defense, but they don't have that. They might not have necessarily, they have guys who can obviously shoot, but they necessarily don't have a ton of guys who are used to playing without the ball a ton, and who are, just would, because that's the thing. Cause like in the Olympics before, like look at like, the reason why Olympic mellow used to be a thing is because when the Olympics came on, even, talk about how ball down like Carmelo was when he was in the NBA, but when he was on the Olympic team, he put all that aside and he was like, I'm going to do whatever needs to be done. I'm good. Whether you guys want me to have the ball, whether you guys want me to spot up shoot, it's like, I'm, whatever role, I'm good. And, that's where everyone says like, that's everyone still thinks to this day that might be still the best version of himself that, people have ever seen him play. So it's just, they need to buy in. If Popovich wants some of these guys to just play more of a structured role and something like that, then you got to do it. Because that's how you have to be a team. This isn't an all-star game. You're not playing like, this isn't like playing in an all-star game. You have to be willing to, you guys have to compromise to a team concept and be willing to play roles that, yes, maybe in the NBA they would never play because they're better than that. They are better than that. But when you're in the Olympics and when you're on a team with all of these guys that are either as good as you or maybe better than you, you have to, some guys have to be willing to compromise.
Yeah. And just, you also look at, they don't have a pass first point guard on their roster either. And that's something that their teams have had in the past. Like you had Jason Kidd, Chris Paul. Even in 2016, they had Kyle Lowry, who, obviously he's a scorer as well, but he looks to pass more often than not. So just because Damian Lillard, great scorer, but not much in terms of being a creative, passer.
He's
if we're going to be honest,
he's not a natural.
He's a good passer.
He's going to look to get his bucket before he looks to pass.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
more than anything,
he's never going to lead the league in assists or anything. He's never going to lead the league.
But with like Jason Kidd, Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry, those are the kind of guys that they're going to be perfectly fine putting up 7 points but getting 10 plus assists. They don't have that kind of guy on their roster either. They don't have the guy. Draymond will be perfectly fine getting 0 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. But you don't have that at the guard position right now, and that's not helping.
You say right now, and I'm not saying this guy is at all a Chris Paul or a Jason Kidd level, but Drew Holiday will be joining the team after the finals, so he could step in and be and Devin Booker and Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
So you got all those guys coming in.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to mention one side thing. I've been, seeing people be like, oh, why is Jeremy Grant and, Draymond Green on the team? Draymond's old and Jeremy Grant sucks. Those are the kind of guys that they need right now. They have enough scores. They have Tatum, Levine, Lillard, Middleton, Tatum, all these guys that, and Durant, Beal. I mean, Beal's out now, but all these guys that can already score the basketball on their own, create their own shot. They need more of these glue guys that will get the rebounds, want to swing the ball around, not looking, for their own shot. So hopefully, they can keep gelling, I hope Jeremy Grant and Draymond, get their minutes because they're, I think, the type of guys that are going to be key to, keeping this gold medal run intact if they want to.
I know they started the game against Australia Draymond and Jeremy both started against Australia.
Right. No. Yeah. And I want to see more of that because
just having those guys, because obviously Jeremy Grant, since he's been in Detroit, he was the guy in Detroit. He's been getting his own shots, but with his, history in Denver, in Oklahoma City, even Philadelphia, he knows the importance of being a role player when you're surrounded by a bunch of other stars. And, just from his play, he's been willing to pass, willing to move the ball around so far. He'll stand in the corner and wait for an open three if it presents itself. He understands the importance of having guys that are going to be able to take a step back and, just be that role player. And, Draymond has, he's been an all-star, but he's hung his hat on being the ultimate role player in the NBA. He's never been an elite scorer. He's just been the ultimate guy who's going to do whatever he needs to do to help his team win. And so you need more of those guys on this team. You have so many scorers that you need someone that's going to be able to, take a step back and just play a role instead of trying to be the leading scorer every night.
Yeah, no, and not to mention you also need, I believe Draymond and Durant are the only two guys on this current roster that have played in an Olympics before, because they were both on. I think Kevin played back in 2012 and then in 2016, and then I think Draymond was on the team and was also on the team in 2016.
Has Kevin Love played before?
I think so, but
I forgot about Kevin Love.
He hasn't played that much. He's played like 3 minutes.
He did play in 2012. Yeah, Kevin Love did play in 2012. I think
I remember when the news came out that Kevin Love was like, "Oh, I'll play for Team USA," and everyone was like, "They want you?" Like, but I guess so.
He can still be good.
So.
The guy can still be good. He just hasn't been healthy. He's been playing in a wasteland in Cleveland. But no, and like with Draymond, you need guys who have been there before. You want to always bring back a couple of guys every round of Olympics who at least are young enough to have been on the who have been on the team before, who know what it's like to go through the whole thing and can impart that on all the newer guys coming in. Obviously back in 2016, Carmelo, that was his third Olympics and everything. And he was not in his prime anymore, but he was still a veteran guy who was willing to buy, who wanted to play, who was willing to buy in, and who could, be a leader on that team and everything. And then you look at Kevin, he's got 2 gold medals. Draymond was on the team in 2016. So having those veteran guys, even if they're not necessarily stars, but having those veteran guys on the team who have been there before, that's important because, they can connect in a way that maybe, even though not necessarily that Popovich wouldn't command respect from everyone in that room, but they can connect in a way that would be different and could help in that way. So you need those guys. And you need guys who are willing to buy in and do the dirty work. All Olympic teams have that. Their Dean team back in 2008 had Tayshaun Prince on their roster. And it's it's not that obviously Tayshaun's not, he's not LeBron, he's not Kobe, he's not Dwayne Wade, he's not Chris Bosh or anything, but you need guys who are willing, you need at least some guys who, they're okay with not having the ball. They're okay with not getting touches. They are good with playing defense and doing whatever role is asked from them on offense in terms of whatever it may be. So it's you need, again, it's a team concept. You need guys who are going to be willing to buy into the roles that, they're going to be asked to play. So obviously you want all of your best players to come in and you want the most loaded team possible, but you still need, you still need to have those guys that come in and play defense, be matchup oriented and stuff like that. So no, I look at a guy like Drew Holiday, like you mentioned, Carter, it's you talk about a bulldog on defense, more than, he can score and he can pass, but he's probably, he doesn't, he's not someone who needs to have, he's not someone who just, he doesn't command the ball necessarily. He's never been that kind of guy. He's a guy that I could definitely see figuring out, being all right, hey, listen, I'll get the ball where it needs to go. And then, I'll play hard defense, because he's probably the best in terms of defense. Once he gets there, he's probably the best defensive guard they might have on that team once he gets over there. Him, Draymond, they're going to be guys that are going to be they're going to bring it on that end. So,
I could see them running Dame with Draymond so that they still have that facilitator dirty work guy. And then when Dame comes off the floor, that's when you play Drew to take over Draymond's role.
You want a tone setter. You want a tone setter when, and any time they can be out on the floor, because like Draymond, with how vocal he is, he's gonna be, he's gonna be calling out guys. He's not gonna let people just like, loaf about in the corner or something, whatever that may be. Like he's gonna be, he's gonna demand that, and like, and Holiday's gonna match that and everything. And Chris Milton, obviously, he'll plays defense too and everything like that. So, that's the kind you need. You just need those guys who, they're good players. They're not bad players, but they're willing to buy into those roles and everything like that. They are there because they know, like, all right, yeah, I'll like, hey, you need me to do this? Okay, I'll play my part. I'll do what we need. I'll do what you need me to do.
Now, we do have some news today. Bradley Beal and Jeremy Grant have both gone into health and safety protocols for Team
Jeremy
USA.
Grant just, oh no.
Jeremy Grant is also.
Although
in
it's
health and
not
safety
guaranteed
protocols.
that he's going to be gone. They said that's a wait and see approach on him. Beal is definitely gone,
Beal's
but they
out.
said that Grant, he could still come back in time for the Olympics, so he's not gone.
So Sadiq Bey cementing his place on Team USA.
That's a hell of an opportunity. That's a hell of an opportunity for a guy that young.
Not guaranteed, but that I mean, talk about someone that's going to play his role and just work hard. That have it. Honestly, these young guys that they have on the select team, all of them would be able to step back and play their role.
Yeah.
So you don't need to go pursue anyone else in the NBA. You're fine with one of the select guys, honestly.
Well, not to mention, again, I mean, for the next Olympics, those guys by that time, they're going to be established NBA pros and everything. And they're going to, with having this experience, they're going to be able to draw on that when they're better, presumably. And, they can only help. So, and Sadiq, I mean, listen, yeah, Sadiq, we know that, watching the Pistons, like, listen, he profiles as a classic 3-and-D guy. Come in, he'll play defense. He'll be a catch and shoot guy. It's like, that's, hey, for all the ball handlers they got, that would be perfect. That would be perfect to fit in for a team like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, Sadiq, a talent, but no disrespect to Kevin Love or Sadiq Bey, but when the Olympic team features both of them, like, ooh, like a washed-up Kevin Love and a rookie that he was good this year.
Team member, all-rookie first team member.
He was a good rookie this year, but it's not like it's like LaMelo Ball, right? If it was LaMelo, I'd be like, okay, maybe rookie of the year. But like, I don't know.
You're just trying to add another ball handler to their roster, aren't you? Well, how about these role players, Carter? Come on. We had an entire 15-minute conversation about this. You need role players, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I guess, but man, Sadiq Bey being on the Olympic team just sounds weird.
Well, it just speaks to, again, that with it's not our best team that we could have assembled. It's not our best. So they just, again, they're going to have to bring it because these other teams are going to bring it just as hard, if not harder. So you got, you have talent, but you got to, you can't afford not to have effort. So just hopefully for, as Americans watching who would like to see their country represented well, they got, they blew out Argentina. So here's hoping that, they took those first 2 losses and they can just move from there and they, they'll be okay.
I mean, none of it matters if they can pull it together once the Olympics actually start.
Right.
So, if they put everything together and everyone settles into their roles and they're rolling in the Olympics, everyone's going to forget about these past 3 games anyways.
Yeah.
Very quick.
Yeah. Last piece of basketball discussion. The NBA draft is at the end of this month. The Bulls do not have a first-round pick. Sorry, Carter, that sucks for you. Pistons have the number 1 pick, but there's been a lot of talk of teams trying to trade up to number 1. The Rockets, the Cavs, the Thunder, and the Pelicans have all been isolated as 4 teams making huge pushes to try and get that number 1 pick. Just throwing it out there. Who do you think would have the best package to throw out there for the Pistons?
You guys sound scared.
All right. It's tough because I think, in a trade like that, you want an all-star, like you're giving up the number 1 pick. I'm not just taking picks. I'm getting either a young player who can project to be an all-star, or I'm getting a guy right now who is an all-star. So, like, if I'm New Orleans, you better give me Brandon Ingram and whatever else you got at the very least. I ain't taking anything less than that. And if I'm Houston, I mean, you have all the picks you got from Brooklyn in the James Harden trade, but you can't trade most of your picks because they've already given up a bunch of they gave up a bunch of their own draft picks to Oklahoma City. Like Oklahoma City may be able to offer the best because Houston is going to be bad for the next couple of years, probably, definitely. So they can offer the Rockets multiple Rockets first round picks, their own first round picks, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, possibly as an ascending young all-star player. But having said that, for the love of God, do not trade that pick, please. Just keep it. Please keep it.
What if the Thunder offered them the 6th pick and Shai?
No, more. You need
more. What if they got up into the top? What if they got into the top 3? What if they got the Cavs' 3rd pick and Shai?
Well, how would they get the?
They have so many picks.
The gap between 2 and 3 after Mobley, there's a huge drop off.
The Pistons are very high on Jalen Green.
All right, yeah, but they could be a smokescreen too. It's like, listen, all these teams they've been saying how aggressive the Rockets have been. They could be aggressive in calling, and every time they call, Troy Weaver laughs his ass off and hangs up the phone because their offers suck or whatever the heck it is. So I just think, listen, I get that Weaver. I listen, Cade's. It's not like I know Cade's not LeBron. He's not AD. Like we're not talking about a once in a lifetime player, but everyone seemingly agrees that he is the best prospect in this draft. I'm not saying you can't do due diligence on a guy like Jalen Green or Evan Mobley or whoever else, but it just seems like it would be just the logical step to pick him. Because when you're talking about this is like think about this. You're likely never, you're not probably going to be bad enough ever again to get the number 1 pick unless somehow just the bomb completely like falls out again for the Pistons next season or something like that. So you're probably not going to be in this position to where you're going to have a pick like this again. And I think it would please a lot of fans to take Cade. And so that way you don't have like Darko nightmares for the rest of your life or something, or things like that, anything like that. Dear God, I do imagining like what Carmelo Anthony could have done with that Pistons team back in the mid 2000s. But it's just obviously as a GM with Troy Weaver, he's all of the most, if not all the moves he's made since he's been with the Pistons have been good. Drafting Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, signing Jeremy Grant, they've all been good moves, sound moves. They've all worked out.
All except trading away Bruce Brown.
Yes, a little bit. But as a GM, it's not that he shouldn't pick up the phone when he gets calls, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I just really think that taking Cade, personally, I just think that taking Cade could end up being. I don't like like if they got Shai Gilgeous, like okay, he with picks, it's like okay, yeah, he's a great, he has looked really good, but at the same time, it's like who knows? Cade Cunningham could end up being like a really really good guard going forward. Could end up being better. So it's just I would stay with the pick. If I were to say, I would stay with the pick. You can listen to offers, and I don't know if they get like the godfather of all godfather offers, like maybe they might.
Every OKC pick. All of their picks. All 27 of their first rounders.
Literally every
Here, I have one to test where you guys are really at. I know there's been some talk that the Sixers are trying to get rid of Ben Simmons.
No, I don't want it.
No. Okay.
No package involving Simmons.
I mean, I
don't want a guy that can't shoot free throws. Drummond PTSD has screwed free throw bad.
How about Simmons, Matisse, and a pick?
No.
So here's the thing. All right, here's the thing.
Wow. Okay.
I am not one to say that Ben Simmons can't still improve. Even as he is, like the guy just finished runner-up in the Defensive Player of the Year. Like he is a versatile all-star caliber player. He can't shoot, but he can do almost everything else really well. Like I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not saying he wouldn't make the Pistons better, but when you're talking about a guy that doesn't profile, at least as a go-to type scorer, making the kind of money that he's making, it's gonna be tough to justify that when you have a guy in Cade Cunningham who is not afraid of those moments, as he showed in college, is not afraid to take those shots. He can hit jump shots. I mean, he made 40% from three in college, which granted, yes, the college 3-point line, I think, yeah, it is closer than the NBA one, but still, he made 40%. It's not,
he still projects to be a good 3-point shooter.
No, he can shoot. He can shoot, and he can do everything else. Like, and he can do everything. He's a versatile. He's gonna be a great versatile combo guard forward at 6'8". Like the guy profiles really well for how the NBA is right now. So, I just don't think. The press will not, like if they trade that for Ben Simmons. They will. The Detroit press will. Fans and the press will kill them. They will kill them for that after what happened in the playoffs this year. I'm not saying if his salary was lower, if it was not quite as high,
maybe a different story.
Maybe a different conversation. It might be a different conversation, but with the kind of with him making max money, and with him at this point clearly not with how he's shown the playoffs, clearly just not being a true max type player. It's hard to justify that. It's really hard to justify that, especially when you have another point guard, when your other guard and Killian Hayes still has his own shooting, struggles to get through as well. Which not that he can't shoot, but just he didn't profile necessarily as being the best shooter when he came out last year. So to have two guys like that, presumably as your two guards, that's tough. Like I don't know. I just don't think that just would not go over well for me.
Yeah, I don't want Ben Simmons on my team. I don't want a guy who's just going to remind me of Andre Drummond every time he goes to the free throw line.
Hey, Andre got better. He did. He got better.
But I also
60% at least.
Hey, at least Andre Drummond is better at hitting full court shots than Ben Simmons is at hitting three.
Andre Drummond has a better shooting percentage from his own free throw line than he does from his opponent's free throw line.
Has he actually? Has he actually in his career hit more threes than Ben Simmons has?
Probably.
Oh, I would guess so.
I think so.
I'm
gonna go on Basketball Reference. You guys fill airtime.
If that's true, that is a damning fact. That's a damning fact.
All right, let's see this.
Yeah, I mean Ben Simmons, he's hit like one.
I remember seeing a highlight of him hitting one in a regular
in an exhibition or something.
Yeah, like he has.
There's like a pretty.
All right, are we ready for this?
Yes.
Andre Drummond, for his career, has made 15 of a total 111 attempted threes.
Took that.
Ben Simmons had made 2 last season.
Ben Simmons
and 3 this season.
Has a total of 5 of a possible 34 attempts, which means that Andre Drummond, even though he has taken more threes,
Ben Simmons shoots 14.7%.
Yeah, 14.7 versus Andre Drummond shooting 13.5.
Oh, so Ben Simmons has the
higher. 1.2% difference, and Andre Drummond is taking more shots.
But here's the one thing. And I remember they tried to do that. Dwayne Casey tried to kind of experiment with him shooting threes like early on when he was the coach here, like back in like 2018 or something like that. Here's the thing. The fact that Andre Drummond would be more willing to take a three than Ben Simmons would, it's like, really? Like Andre Drummond is more willing to take a 3-pointer as a true 7-foot center guy who never has shown
lives in the
any
paint
range whatsoever. It's like, What the hell? Somehow on these podcasts, we always get around to just piling on Ben Simmons. That's like
It's a pastime for us,
It is a past.
Yep.
We have our big fans, Luis Scola, LaMarcus Aldridge. They like hearing about how we hate Ben Simmons.
Hey, can I get a Joe Flacco shout out?
No,
Shout out Joe Flacco
And Ryan Fitzmagic.
and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I'll co-sign the Fitzpatrick. I'll co-sign or Fitzmagic. I'll co-sign that.
Pro Bowl, don't forget.
All right. But last topic of the day, boys. Oh, actually, no, wait, Carter. Before we move on from draft talk, best trade offer the Bulls can make for the first overall pick.
Ooh. Getting Cade or any of that, it's not worth sending Levine, so I can't do that. But I would love to send you a package of probably a couple picks, Markkanen.
Don't want. He's a free agent.
Markkanen?
Do you want? Hey, no, that's not as like the best player in the. Him, you guys like Sato?
I'm okay on backup point guard, to be honest.
I mean, do you guys like Vucevic?
Hold on. Let me amend this. If I'm freaking Detroit, if I'm Chicago, it's like I want probably at least 3 of your next first rounders. I want Patrick Williams.
And you have to take on Blake Griffin's $30 million next year.
Yeah, and then take the rest of Blake Griffin's money. How about that? You can do that too. Take the rest. Give us 4 first-round picks.
We would probably have to take on the Blake Griffin deal. We'll send you a couple trash players, some good first round, some juicy first rounders, and
Patrick Williams.
And
Levine.
And Zach Levine.
And Zach just toss him in there. Just like
you got to make the salaries match.
Exactly. You take Blake Griffin's money, we take Levine's. It's like that all works. That all works.
Yeah. I'll gladly just give you his contract.
Take Mason Plumlee while you're at it too. I'd like to get Isaiah Stewart some more play time. Take
you can run a front court of Vucevic and Plumlee.
This deal honestly sounds something the Chicago front office would do.
It's the best deal available for them.
Just as we're like maybe getting some hope of getting good, similar to what I felt after the Derrick Rose injury with Jimmy Butler. Like just as we're slowly maybe getting there, we're gonna trade it all. We're gonna ruin it all again.
I mean, listen, when you guys traded for Vucevic, I thought it was bold. I'm thinking like, all right, hey, let's.
You know what? He came in mid-season. I think now that we have an off season, he'll get to know the offense. I'm not worried about that. We'll see how that plays out next year. But I'm not sold on that not working out yet.
Yeah.
Who's Chicago's coach again?
Billy Donovan.
Okay.
Come on, 2-time NCAA champion Billy Donovan.
I needed to make sure it wasn't still that one dude, the guy they had last year. I don't remember his name. The one that everyone hated.
Jim Boylan. Dude, we went through Boylan, Hoiberg.
Why not Hoiberg?
Hoiberg is one of my least favorite coaches.
Wait, isn't he like coaching like Nebraska now?
Nebraska, yeah.
Like, I thought he went back in college. I'm like, wait, what?
Well, remember because Jack played on
Jack.
MSU.
He transferring?
He
transferred to some Illinois school.
Yeah. He played on the team last year. Was he on the team last year?
Yeah, no, he transferred this offseason.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, sorry, but last topic of the day. I promise this time. Shohei Ohtani. Am I saying that right? Shohei. Okay. Apologies for royally screwing that up. That was
come on, Stephen A. Jesus.
I'm sorry. Well, okay. While we're there, Stephen A. That was the stupidest thing he could have said. Said that.
Well, because he was mispronouncing the Nigerian players basketball, like all their names. But then he got into the show.
But to say that he can't be the face of Major League Baseball because he needs an interpreter is ridiculous.
Does anyone remember Ichiro Suzuki? Like, does anyone remember how good he was and how big he was back in his prime when he played with the Mariners? Like, he was a big face of the league.
If you're huge, right. if you're great, it doesn't matter where you're from.
Well, and Ichiro, who again, like Shohei, he speaks in English to his teammates in private, but to the public, he uses an interpreter. Ichiro did the same thing, and Ichiro said it perfectly. He said, that, when they're talking in their own language, that's when they can truly express themselves. And they're not always so worried about tripping up their English. So if they were to just speak English, without an interpreter to the press, they would be constantly, thinking about using the right word and not truly expressing, what they're thinking and what they're saying, which is why they do choose to use an interpreter so that they can, express how they're feeling, because they're much more comfortable in their own language.
Yeah, exactly. Not to mention it would be like the most they wouldn't take, not to mention that way, then nothing gets like mistranslated or anything.
Right.
There's no, listen, we're journalists, like we know, like we want, in interviews, like we need, if we're writing, if we're doing questions and stuff, we want it to be as clear and, want to be as clear as possible. So it's just like, that's
a good point.
just, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just if you're good, it doesn't matter, like it really doesn't matter. It's the same thing that they do with, small markets. If they're good, stop complaining about the things you don't like about them, like sure, maybe they need an interpreter. Fine. They can still be the face of the league.
I mean,
they're not from New York. Fine.
No.
They're still good.
This guy is literally doing something that has been done since baseball.
Yeah. To be a pitcher.
A century. It's been a century since someone has been able to legit. He's not just hitting and pitching. He's leading all of Major League Baseball in home runs and is also the best pitcher by far on the Angels staff. And one of probably, if he were to pitch full time, he'd probably be one of, maybe if not the best pitcher in the American League. This guy is a freak. He truly is. People in a century have not seen someone dominate the game like this before. And yeah, the Angels aren't great they don't have a great record, but in terms of what he's doing, I mean, it's great. You want players like this who are going to be like, this is as good as, having a guy like this who does all these things and can attract this kind of attention. I mean, this is something baseball badly needs. They need stars like this guy. It doesn't matter if he was from Japan and he doesn't speak perfect English. Okay, fine, work around it. It's like he's too good. He's too good to not spotlight. You can't just act like this guy can't be a fit. He is, especially since Mike Trout's hurt right now. He is as much of a face of baseball as anybody. I mean, he is very much that. So, and I enjoy it. I love it because I love I grew up loving baseball, and it's like to be able to watch a guy like this. Hey, Ohtani and me, he's must see TV.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because I don't watch a lot of baseball. I usually only tune in once the playoffs start, but I've tuned into Angels games when they've been on TV because he's a guy I want to see. When you see just great pitching, great batting, being able to lead the league in the home runs, just he draws attention from people. He's drawn my attention, and I don't usually watch baseball. So he is establishing himself as a face of the league, whether people like it or not, whether he has an interpreter or not. He's establishing himself as a face of the league.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Passan, from ESPN said something similar the other day, but what he's doing out on the field is telling a way greater story than what, anyone could, say at a press conference. He goes out there, amazes, everyone that's watching him. That's all. That's the end of story.
Yeah, and it's not everyone cares about the post-game interviews anyways,
Right.
They just want to watch good sports. They don't like what athletes say afterwards. Yes, it's important what they have to say afterwards. Yes, a lot of people do listen to them, but the average fan, they're just trying to watch good play. That's all they care about is this guy good? Is this guy great?
Right. So, and you would rather hear some boring answer, that's like a sentence long in English, or would you rather hear, a more, fleshed out from the heart answer, So why not use an interpreter? It should be a positive that he, feels comfortable doing that.
Great. For me, it's just, I just sum up like this. Greatness comes in many different forms, and it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter about whether he speaks English or not. It shouldn't matter. It's like, is he great or not? He is great. And a guy like this does not come along often. So for doing what he's doing right now, appreciate it, enjoy it, because who knows when we're ever going to see something like this, a player in baseball do something like this ever again.
And just think about how much having him be one of the faces is going to do to help Major League Baseball just at the international level.
Oh, of course.
Because people from around the world are going to want to watch this guy who's from another country dominate the American leagues,
Like think about how big Yao Ming made NBA basketball in China when he was in the NBA. Think about how big like the NBA had, like the kind of NBA foothold the NBA has in China, everything like that now with what happened with Yao Ming playing in the NBA. It's like, obviously baseball just is a huge sport in Japan, just in general. I mean, Shohei Ohtani is not the like there's been a ton of Japanese players who have.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ichiro, we were talking about, he helped, Japanese baseball has always been, popular over there, but Ichiro really helped with the boom of that, at the turn of the century.
If you include his hits in Japan along with his hits in baseball, no one has more hits than Ichiro.
It's like it's like 5,000 or something. It's close to that.
4,000, a little over.
It's 4,000 something.
Holy crap, 5,000.
I knew it was 4,000 something, but I couldn't remember if it was closer to 4 or 5,000.
I mean, either way, like your point is right. It's like, it's just, it's only, it's a world game. It's not an American game. Baseball is a world game. So, it's just he's just great. Appreciate the greatness, appreciate what he is, appreciate his greatness, because again, like I said, who knows when we're ever going to see a player like this, who maybe we'll see another player who can pitch and hit, but who knows if we'll ever see a player who can pitch and hit, like literally be the best hitter and one of the best pitchers in the league at that level, like be at that level. Who knows? So just appreciate the greatness that he is right now.
Something special.
And just having great international players helps these sports leagues grow. Just look at how much the NBA and MLB is going to be growing from, Luka's presence in the NBA, Jokic's presence in the NBA, Ohtani's presence in the MLB. They're growing all around the world. The NFL obviously has some guys from out of the country, but the only one I can really think of off the bat is Jay Ajayi, and he's not even in the NFL anymore. So just when you have these guys that are just, international players, it's going to grow the game. And when they come to the United States to play, it's going to grow the product that's, here. So just having great international players be part of the face of your league, it can't be anything but good for your league.
Exactly.
And when you're picking out of a larger pool, you're guaranteed to get more, better talent. I mean, if you're just taking guys that are born in the US, you're ignoring the other, like, what percent, like 95% of the world. So, I mean, there's no reason not to expand and try to get guys from everywhere to come play for you, for your league.
Yeah, especially when you want to be the league in the, you want people to want to come play for you, That's why they enter, international players enter the NBA draft. They want to come play in the NBA.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thumbs up all around.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, vote for Ryan Fitzpatrick for the Pro Bowl next year, trying to get him into the Hall of Fame. We are on the road to 1 million subscribers, as we all know. Thank you to Darren and Carter for joining me today. After 2 weeks, we needed this. It's always nice talking to you guys. And
thank you for hosting, Thomas.
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
And we will see you all next week, hopefully, unless we go on another hiatus, but we'll do our best. All right. Peace.